that you actually asking the questions that nobody ever asked me. Oh my God. I literally saw a demon at night. I woke up to him standing over me and he put his hands around me and tried to choke me to death. I hated here anger, resentment, bitterness, brokenness, adult relationship trauma, unhealed traumas, childhood traumas with drug addiction. I would never forget seeing my mom leave. I was 5. I was literally sitting on my steps just like begging her not to go.
What are the
Right.
trials and tribulations of being young and dealing with somebody that's locked up?
The first or the second or the third time around. Trauma bonding can look like love. It can look like passion. It can look like, we locked in. I think it's a lot of survival. I don't want no struggle love. It was a lot of physical abuse, locking me in rooms, stole my cell phone, gave me a blood clot in my eye. That was humiliating for me. I got tired of being that girl. Everybody has a story, but I think it's the way that you story tell.
Oh, come and talk to me. I really want to meet you, girl. I really want to know your name. Can we talk for a minute? Can we just talk?
All right, people, welcome back to Intimate Conversations. Like I always say, this is a platform for people to share their journeys, to share their stories, for us to try to find a middle ground in gender wars, all things of that nature. Um, Welcome to Intimate Conversations. I know this beautiful young lady she's from my hood. um, we went to the same high school, basically. Um, but introduce yourself and tell the people how old you are.
Oh, okay. Hey
Yeah,
everybody. I'm
we get right to it. We get
Get
right
right
to
to it. All right, cool.
it.
I'm Cherie Dominique. I'm a relationship and healing mentor, published author. I'm 45. I say 45. And yeah, I been coaching, been mentoring, and writing books.
Okay. How many books you got?
I have 2 and 1 in the making.
All right. I'm an author myself, so I'll ask you this because for the people who don't write
Hmm.
or however they want to claim it, because some people don't write, they just type. But
Right.
for the people who don't write, how difficult would you say it is writing and finishing a book?
Oh my God. Yo, that's a good question because I released my book in 2018. And it took me, all right, literally, it took me 3 years to publish the book, but it wasn't the money that I owed the publisher. It wasn't anything like that. I think it was more so I was still in my stuff, honestly. And I was trying to tell my story at the same time, but it was like I was coming out. So I think it was more um spiritual. I feel like it was more like something is holding me up and I need to like get my stuff together before my book was released. So honestly, it just depends on like what type of stuff you're releasing because some stuff is really harder to release because of your walk or whatever it is that you got to grow through and go through. So that was my journey. It took 3 years to get my book published. But it is challenging sometimes depending on all the logistics or whatever with editors and the publishing company. I didn't have a great publishing company, but we're not going to speak on that. But
Yeah, me and my editor had
so the first
issues.
book it was through, yeah, exactly, right. So it was definitely through a publisher, and then my second book is more like a workbook slash ebook guide, and I self-published.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I did all the editing, all the graphics, the whole nine. So
All right. Like, what gave you the idea to write a book? Because I would say, I was going through like a grieving process, so I had no other
mhm.
outlets. But I always
Okay.
had an idea of writing a book. Like even since I
Hmm.
was younger, I had that idea. But
Right.
because of all the things that you go through in life, it gave me
Hmm.
like something to write about.
Okay.
So
Exactly.
how did you come to that decision to write a
Well,
book?
basically, life experience and the things that I've had to go through from childhood to my adult. my adulthood. My first book was like a deep dive into my childhood traumas, my adult relationship traumas that have been pretty toxic because of my unhealed traumas. So I think that me writing the book was me needing to release whatever I was going through. It was more like healing and therapy for me. I always say that, sometimes you think you're writing a book for the audience, but me,
You're
I
writing it for
read my
yourself.
book. Like
Right.
I
You
exactly.
writing it
It's
for
like
yourself.
you're writing it for yourself. Your audience is really for you, but it's going to bless somebody else. So it's really like you're just on this whole self-reflection deep dive journey. And for me, that's what it was really about. But I also have been a writer. Like I've been a poet. I used to write books of poetries when I was younger, having books and books of stuff. And I tell you, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but my stuff was so thorough that people used to steal my stuff. I had a Facebook poetry page that was really, it was like that group got so big. It was like it was almost like I couldn't even manage it no more. So I was like, I walked away from it, and I think I shut it down. But I always will write, and even now, I journal. I just do so much of that. So it just came like second nature, like to just write my story. So
All right, I
yeah.
want to get your take on this theory. So people will always
Okay.
say, they're tired of podcasts or they're tired of people speaking on relationship issues and this and that. And I try to break it down and tell people that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, everybody shouldn't be speaking about these things. But what people don't understand is
Right.
everything in your life is based on a relationship to something. So it's a relationship, whatever your relationship from your parents, your siblings, your love partners, whatever it may be, your children, everything, even
Mm-hmm.
work. That's still a
Yeah.
relationship between. So everything's a relationship.
Yeah. Basically.
So do you think there's too many voices though?
You know what? I feel like you're right. Everybody has a story. Like you can't really determine who's qualified, who's not qualified. Like we all been through something. So I definitely feel like everybody has a story, but I think it's the way that you story tell. You feel me? Like everybody's not a good storyteller, and everybody don't really know how to use their voice or their platform to impact. And some stuff end up being messy. You know what I'm saying? But so I feel like everybody can share their story, but to kind of put yourself in this platform of like, I'm I don't know, let's say for example, I'm a coach, or
Right.
you qualified to mentor people if you haven't been able to kind of overcome your own stuff, like master your own stuff. I always feel like you got to deal with yourself first before you start leading the people. But I definitely enjoy a lot of the podcasts out here. I tap into them every now and again and listen to them, but some stuff is just foolishness. Like it's just like really like, it could be entertaining, but I don't know, you just got to be authentic to the space that you're supposed to be in.
Right. I'll agree with that. All right, so
Hmm.
let's see where we can begin in your journey.
Okay.
So, if I said to you, "Tell me your story," um, where would you begin if somebody asked you that question?
I would begin with my childhood traumas. I really feel
Okay.
like, the woman that people see today, it took a lot of work to get here, and I'm still evolving. Like we always going to evolve. We always going to grow and do our work. But I really would take it back to my childhood because I feel like that's what shaped me, whether it's something that I wanted to see manifest or not. You know what I mean? Like it's always for me going back to my core, my upbringing.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. So I don't know how much detail you want to get into that, but
Mm-hmm.
what specifically, spark the trauma? Like, where does the trauma stem from?
Yes, so I'm okay with that because it's also in my book too.
Okay.
But what sparked a lot of childhood trauma, Both my mom and dad were in my household married until I was 5. And then, like a lot of families, they separate and go their separate way. And I just remember, I would never forget seeing my mom leave. And I was literally sitting on my steps, just like begging her not to go. And I was 5. And I can literally remember that, like, it's crystal clear, like in my head, to even to this day. Um, and I just think, now being a grown woman, but as a young child, a female, I wasn't really raised with my mom. She, struggled with drug addiction and all of that. And thank God, before she passed, years and years before she passed, she was delivered clean, set free, all that stuff. But
Okay.
my mom and dad, back in the day, they dipped and dabbed and did what they did. But it really tore, I would say, us apart, because I have siblings, but it really did a number on me. And just to keep it short, because I don't know how deep you want to go, but I had just really like crying out because I didn't have a mom that I could go to. I would literally see her in her stuff, you know what I mean, while I'm coming home from school, trying to duck her so I wouldn't be embarrassed, you know what I mean. So I've been through all of that stuff, and just a lot of just toxic upbringing and that whole scenario. Um, and honestly, at times I felt like something's off with me. Something got to be off with me, because um, it was too much. It was too much for me. I mean, I did a lot. Like I did a lot in my childhood, in my teenage years, cutting up.
Yeah.
Um, just I just did a lot. I did a lot. So.
Okay. How many siblings you got?
I have two sisters and a brother. I'm the youngest.
Okay. So as the baby, when your mom left,
Hmm.
did you know like the reason why? Or like did anybody talk to you? Like did you talk to your older siblings? Like even as you're growing up, is this something that you talk to
Hmm.
your older siblings about?
We do talk about it. Like, I don't know if you know, but we lost our parents this year. So
Sorry
we
to hear that.
definitely, thank you. Like, even before they pass, like, we always, when we get together, sometimes we bring up old, memories and stuff like that, just to relate. So I think that we all kind of went through our own individual stuff, our own individual traumas. But it's crazy though, right? Because coming up, I didn't talk to them because they're a little older than me. My middle sister's 5 years older than me, and my oldest is like 8 years, I think, older than me. So they were doing their own thing, you know what I mean? And me, I'm just like the baby or whatever. And I just felt like I was the one that was isolated, or different, always in, I was about to cuss, but I'm always in stuff.
You good? You could cuss over here.
Okay, I was always in shit, and it's like every time you turn around, it was always me. Like, oh, she ran away, oh, she cut school, she fighting in school all the time, like she doing this, doing that, and it was like always me. And I felt like, of course, I won't discredit what my siblings went through, even my brother who moved out, much earlier, but I don't know. It did something to me very differently, where I feel like they were able to really manage it much better
Right.
than me being able to manage not having a mom and seeing, a lot of things that she had to struggle with. Even affected our relationship and her addiction, where we were very toxic with
Right.
one another. You know what I mean? Like, she was a trigger for me. It was a lot of that going on. So but yeah, so that was
All
that.
right. All right. So when you were growing up, was it just your siblings and your father?
Yes. Yep. My
So
brother,
how
he
did?
moved out and he
Right.
went to my grandparents' house, my mom's parents' house. And then it was just me and my sisters in the house with my dad.
So growing up, like under a guy or your father,
Hmm.
how was that experience like when you're going? when you're going through the lady times and puberty and things that are coming about? How did you learn about these things? Like, how did that
Oh
all
gosh,
transpire?
like, you know what? This is so deep because first of all, I'm thankful that you actually asking the questions that nobody ever asked me. Like,
Thank
nobody ever asked me, not even my siblings, and I love them. So if they see this, you know what I mean?
you.
But they never, you know what I mean? Like, nobody ever asked that. And I think that that was the thing. That was humiliating for me, having to go to my dad and tell him like, hey, this is what I need or whatever. And even when it comes to like other things that I needed, um just going to my dad, it just felt uncomfortable, and I think that played a role even in my relationships. I don't ask men for nothing, because and it's a bad thing sometimes, because I feel like with my dad, he was just a type of man that like, God rest his soul, I love my dad, but he was just a guy that was like, you ask him something and he act like he don't hear you. Like,
Right.
he'll be watching TV, and I'll be sitting on the couch like for 30 minutes, like waiting for an answer. Like, you hear me? Like, yo, I just asked you for whatever, whatever. And that to me, even though eventually he would give it to me or he would respond, but just, I guess, that feeling of rejection or feeling like you're denying me of something that I feel like I need, not when it comes to the personal, like maxi, whatever, but like just other things that I actually needed growing up as a teen. I felt like, wow, I gotta pull teeth to be supported in a way that
Right.
like you don't think this is a need for me. You think this
Right.
is a want. So I think that really conditioned me too in relationships with men, where I would just always figure it out and I won't ask them for nothing, not even a dollar.
So do you think that's like maybe a subconscious tactic, because I don't really know how to handle this conversation with you. So as your father, that could have been like a subconscious thing. Like, I don't really know how to navigate this conversation with you, so I just need some time to process what the fuck you
Right.
talking about right now.
Right, right. I think so. And you know what? It's funny because, as I continue to heal and evolve and just like reflect on my childhood and all of that, sometimes like when you're in it, and for me, even as a teenager, I used to hate living at home. I used to be like, I hate it here.
Right.
My dad, whatever. I ain't feeling him, going through my stuff. I mean, rightly so. I had a lot of trauma growing up. But I think in my healing, and I think I was able to see my parents as real people, especially because I'm a
Facts.
parent and I go through shit with my kids. So it's like, we real people at the end of the day. And I honestly feel like my parents gave me what they knew to give me or us. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, I could say, well, you could have changed the trajectory like how I try to do with my kids, but some parents just don't have the tools. Some just wasn't poured into or nurtured from their parents, so they only going to give you what they think you need or what they can do. And I just feel like I had to give my parents some grace on that. And it took a long time to get them grace on that, but I did. And I was like, okay, they did the best that they could do,
That's a
even
fact.
if I needed more.
That's a fact. That's a fact. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably get asked this question a lot. When it comes to reflecting on your childhood, how do you view it? Like, I feel like when we in it, like, we don't see the toxicity of it. It's like we're just
Mm-hmm.
little, young, and having fun and shit. And I love my childhood, but other people that are not from certain neighborhoods or economic things or whatever it may be, they don't
Mm-hmm.
quite understand. They'll view it like, how can you like your childhood when you went through all of that shit? And you be like, because when you in it, you're not really in your mind going through all that shit. You're just growing up.
Exactly. That's how I feel too. Like, it's like I can kind of compartmentalize stuff. Like, yes, I went through what I went through and missing my mom, and wanting to have that motherly love growing up, and wanting to be able to like talk to her about things that I saw my friends be able to talk to their parents about. I'm like, dang, they got their moms. And I feel like I was more so closer to my friends' moms because, I had an absentee mom. At times, like, she came around, but you know how I go. Um, but I did feel like I enjoyed my childhood though. Like, I mean, I wasn't somebody that couldn't go outside, couldn't do stuff. Like, I was outside, you know what I'm saying? I had a lot of friends. I basically knew everybody on my street growing up. I was like pretty much going to everybody's house growing up. Cause back in the
Right.
day, it was like that was your family. Like, your whole
Right.
block was your family. So
Facts.
I definitely had that. And being able to go to my grandmom's house, um and get away from my house and stuff like that, I think that that helped me too. So I definitely enjoyed my childhood coming up. But I still struggled throughout my childhood. Like, I was fighting to enjoy my childhood, basically.
That's a
Because
fact.
when I know when I leave my friends or get back into my reality, I'm like, you know what, this is a sad place. So yeah.
All right. So, how old were you when the attention started coming from boys?
um I don't really know, but I want to say 13.
Okay. And how'd you handle that? Like, was this like a yeah, I'm happy that this is finally happening, or is it like, whoa, wait a minute?
Honestly, I feel like in the beginning I ain't really like it because I'm just like, we friends. Like, what are you talking
Right.
about? So,
Right.
so it's like, oh, so you like me now. So now I feel like I gotta be unnatural, like, cause now I gotta act a certain way around you because to me that's like an awkward type of, for me anyway, it's like I just rather not know than to now you telling me and now it's
Don't
creating
tell me
another
you like
situation.
me.
Right. Don't even like, just keep it like, just play cool. So yeah, it was 13.
Okay. Okay. And like, how was your like first experiences with love? So it's like if you seen your parents going through, what they were going through, what was
Mhm.
your idea or what was your first experience with love?
You know what? I feel like we were kids, so you think you love somebody, and it could be,
Could be.
these childhood type love or whatever. It develops, obviously. But I want to say I was around 15. And I ain't gonna put no names out there, but it was, one of my childhood boyfriends that I went to school with. And we were together for 5 years, and I felt like that was pretty, like, decent
That's
back
good.
in the day.
Yeah.
Like, like, how I'm locking somebody down for 5 years at 15. Like, we definitely grew up, like, in that relationship together. But I feel like my childhood traumas kind of got in the way of the relationship at times, because I feel like his upbringing, though he was raised with a single mom, I feel like his upbringing was very different than mine. um and I feel like he was more of like the healthier side than me, you know what I mean, being the type. So for him, maybe it was challenging to love me because I had some
Right.
shit going on, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like, but when I say like that first love, like, we did a lot together, even at a young age, like, taking trips and little things like that, even as
Yeah, that's
teenagers,
a
like,
lot.
you know what I mean, going to New York and going to different places that we would go to. And I think we were trying to be mature and trying to, do the thing or whatever. But I would say that was like the first experience of like somebody genuinely loving me. And even when I went to cosmetology school, like, he was like helping buy my books, for cosmetology school, because that was another time I'm asking my dad with another dream, like, what we doing?
Right.
And I just feel like, the support was there, and vice versa. When he went to college, the support was there, and stuff like that. But I think ultimately we just grew apart. We still friends to this day though, but
Okay. That's
that
what's
would
up.
be my first experience with love like that.
What do you think about young love and the fashion of? Do you feel like if you could go back and do it all over again, you would stay with your first person and try to like be with one person forever, or do you think that you should experience like people in life?
Yeah. Um, that's a good question. Like, I'm a relationship girly. Like, I don't like the whole dating thing, but I think as I am out here in these dating streets, I feel like now I think you should take your time and date and not be fully locked in until you know yourself. But I mean, I don't down the idea. Like, if you meet your person early in life, you meet your person. You know what I'm saying? Me, as far as that relationship is concerned, that person's married now, happily married and everything. But that would have been my ideal. Like, yeah, I just don't put that out there. Like, but that would have been my ideal. I think, type of partnership, because I know the quality of person, he is, and I would want that for myself. You know what I mean? Um, but but yeah, I don't know. I just think sometimes with young people, locking in so soon and they don't really know themselves, I'm starting to see that they have a lot of challenges,
Right.
going through a lot of, drama and stuff like that, because really they want to see what's out there, or they want options, or sometimes they feel like they too locked down, like, dag, we not married. You know what I'm saying? So
Facts.
I'm not opposed to it, but I would say, like, really, you really got to know yourself before you make that type of commitment.
All right, I have this backlash, I would say, when it comes to healing, because I feel like people they don't really be doing it. They just like to say the concept. But I want to
Mhm.
ask you, do you think two unhealed people can function?
Mm. No, I personally don't think that they can, because, and it's something that I be teaching a lot, and it's something that I've experienced. And this is just my experience, but I feel like it would be trauma bonding, honestly. And sometimes, I feel like bonding can look like love. You know what I mean? It could look like passion. It could look like, we locked in. But I think it's a lot of survival. You know what I mean? In my experience, of, two people being unhealed, trying to struggle. Like, for me, I don't want no struggle love. Like, I've been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? And of course, in relationships, you're going to have these moments where you have to grow through something. You're going to go through something. You know what I mean? It's not no perfect man, no perfect woman, no perfect relationship or whatever. I'm okay with all of that. But to be in a relationship or marriage and you struggling the whole way through, you're fighting so hard just to make it work. Me personally, that ain't for me. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you got to get to a point, I believe, that you got to want more for yourself. And you're bringing your more to the table. But if two unhealed people together, you bringing your brokenness to the relationship, and then we just fixing each other shit, or and not worrying about our own selves. Like, to me, that just that create more brokenness. Like,
Facts.
that, to me, that I don't know about that won't work for me though.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. All right,
Like, no.
so how old were you when you had your first child, and how did your motherhood journey, begin? Was it
My
was it even
first,
was it even a space of love?
yeah. All right. Not really.
Okay.
All right. So I was 24 when I had my first son, and a space of love. No, I feel like but I do love my son's father. Like I did love him when we were together. But initially I feel like I was just caught up out there because I was, I don't know if I'm deep diving too much, but I was in a
Oh, you good.
relationship. I was in a relationship where I was with someone who was incarcerated for a year and something. As a young person, you trying to hold it down your early 20s,
Right.
and I did for a minute, and then when I just broke that off, then I met my son's father, and I feel like it was more like, oh, okay, I'm finally outside. I'm finally able to get back to enjoying my young life and not being locked down waiting for a jail call type of thing. And it was just an attraction, and we kind of hung in the same spaces, and it happened like that.
Okay.
But we ended up trying to have a relationship, and we did have a short relationship, but I will say overall, out of my children's fathers, he's like the best baby daddy. So
All right, I got questions. No, I got questions. All right, so let's just rewind a little bit to the jail situation.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
this is a story that should be relatable or familiar to
Mhm.
a lot of young women, especially a lot of young Black women. What are the
Right.
trials and tribulations of being young and dealing with somebody that's locked up?
Yes. So I be talking to my kids, and I be schooling them too, because they saw me go through, and I'm gonna be transparent with this. We got time, so they saw me go through this, and the person that I referenced that I waited in for is my youngest son's father, who has this history, this I'll say cycle of being in and out of prison or whatever. um I tried to lead by example, and I know I'm not good with this whole situation because they've seen me like, okay, you were in this thing, how can you lead me type of thing. But I always tell them, like, please don't don't make those decisions like I've done, because I regret some of the things that I've done in those situations. And here's why. Like, I feel like when you're young and you trying to hold it down for somebody, number one, yeah, it might be admirable. You want to do the right thing. You want to be there to support somebody, but that's not really your responsibility. And I feel like it kind of consumed your childhood or your teenage years when you should be getting to know yourself and having fun and traveling and going to school or whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Even if you don't want to do none of that stuff, you should be able to have the space to be able to enjoy your life and not have the responsibility of somebody else. Because keep it real, like, it's not just you got a boo thing, bae thing. You taking care of that person. You got to be locked down by the phone. You taking all them calls. You setting up video calls now. You doing all this. Then the little money you got, you sending money to make sure they straight. And it's, to me, that's a lot of responsibility. And sometimes I find that it's more like a survival thing. Again, with some people that's incarcerated, like they'll say all the right things and do all the right things just to keep that one person that they can rely on to help alleviate whatever the hell they going through. You know what I mean? And that's all you are in that situation. And sometimes it works depending on the mind state that person have, if they like evolve and they come out and do the right thing. And sometimes they be like, all right, well, I'm moving on to something else or someone else or whatever, and you like, I didn't waste 2 years of my life, or I didn't
Facts.
waste it or whatever. So I didn't been there with this person like that before, like early in my early 20s, what I referenced before I had my children. And then because we kind of grew up together, not the one that I was like in love with from 15 to 20, but whatever. But this guy, my son's father, we grew up together too, but he was always in and out of stuff. And yeah, I'll leave it there. If you want to deep dive more, I'll go into it. But
No, I just
I
have
just feel like
I
I feel
go
like
ahead.
it's not always a smart thing to do,
Right.
waiting
I
for
just have
somebody.
one last question on that. Did
Hmm.
you feel fulfilled, like just with the phone calls and whatever the letters or whatever, however maybe? Did you feel fulfilled? Like, did you feel like you were getting enough?
The first or the second or the third time around, because
I can't.
it's been some time. But here's the thing, though, straight up. Here's the thing. I always live my life. Like, I'm not the woman out here just being locked down in a house waiting for some man to get his life together. Like, I was living my life. I had 3 children, like, but I feel like the times when I'm not in a relationship, it seems like I meet up with this person again. Somehow our paths cross again. And when they do cross again, this person is always in a bad situation and I'm being mother hen. Like my sister, my middle sister, she told me back in the day, she was like, you're mother hen, like you're like Mrs. Fix It. Like you keep fixing, trying to fix somebody. And I feel like that's a part of my, it might be a toxic trait. Even
Right.
though it's like not toxic, like, oh, I want to be out here arguing, fussing, fighting, but it's toxic because something in me is tolerating, you know what I mean, a situation that I know I should have evolved from. You know what I mean? Like, or I shouldn't give no space for, because I see that this person is not growing or healing or doing what they supposed to do. So, what was your
I was going to say, I think it's toxic because I think it's a part of you feeling like you wish that you would have had a person there for you, like the way that you're being a person for them.
Oh, right. And you asked me, is it fulfilling?
Right.
Um, this is a two-part. It can't, now I don't encourage this though. You feel me?
Okay.
Like this is not, all right, I'm gonna help these women deal with their gel, bays, and booze. You know what I'm saying? But I really feel like for me, the last time I tolerated that situation, I feel like it wasn't as fulfilling, of course, because you're trying to make it work with the limitations that you do have, setting up video calls. Sometimes it's inconvenient. You like, this is all you got, especially if they are further away. So for me, it definitely was an inconvenience. But I think because I was in my singleness journey, the
Right.
last time I dealt with this situation, and not waiting on this person, but I was already in my season of singleness for like 5 years, where I wasn't dating, I wasn't having sex, I wasn't doing none of that stuff. That to me was more of, this is my journey, this is my healing journey. Like this is me taking time out for my sacred time, and I can be there to support you, emotional support and things like that. So it really didn't affect me in that way, as far as like, oh, I'm waiting on them, my life is messed up, hurry up, hurry up. I was cool doing whatever it is that I was doing for my healing. But as far as it being fulfilling, I would say no. I feel like you compromise and you settle,
Right.
because it's the best that you can get at that time. So
All right. So when you're going through these pregnancy journeys,
mhm.
you is there any time that you had your mom around to like walk you through it? Like how did you get through this? Without that sound support system.
Um, so yes, my mom was around. She hasn't been around like as far as like when I had each of my children like in the hospital and stuff like that, but she definitely was there. And I think that when I became a mom, it seems like that's when our relationship started to repair. It wasn't all the way there yet, but it was getting there. Like in with my first son, we still had some challenges, but she was there babysitting with my first and my second. I don't think she babysat my third, but I'm not really sure. But either way, she was definitely around. But I think that because I didn't have that motherly connection, I didn't really get any type of, like, she didn't sit down and give me advice or whatever, but if I needed her for anything, she definitely showed up. She definitely showed up for her grandkids. And then as my kids got older and I got older, our relationship really got stronger. And she was always like either at my house, I'm like, Mom, come over, like let's do movie night and stuff like that. So she was definitely there and being more checking on them, buying them stuff, doing all of that stuff. But I would say initially to like tell me how to, like, okay, this is how you do this is how you do that, I didn't really get that hand holding. But I definitely was supported, throughout raising my kids. So
Okay. All right. Now we're gonna get a little messy.
uh,
We're gonna get a little messy.
okay.
Um, what's your journey you know, through the love life?
My journey.
Yeah. How does that unfold? Like your missteps with men or however they treated you. What is your journey with the guys?
Like with my kids' fathers, or just in
Right.
general, like
Right.
just my relationship journey.
Yeah, your
Well,
relationship journey.
yeah, my relationship journey, it's been messy. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it's been messy because I feel like I had a lot of trauma, honestly. And that trauma was anger, resentment, bitterness, brokenness, just the whole nine. Like, I was really, I was really going through some stuff. And I feel like because I was going through some stuff, I truly believe that you kind of attract who you are at that time. Like,
Right.
people kind of gravitate to you because y'all really relating, or y'all really a mirror of each other. And I think that I attracted certain relationships into my life where it's like, well, damn, you broken too. Like, now we both going through this together. You know what I'm saying? We messing each other life up pretty much. And I think honestly that has been my relationship journey, like really
Okay.
like going through the motions with men, and then attracting a man who physically abused me.
Mm,
um and that was a lot to go through and overcome, because I feel like he tried to take me out of here. That was a bad one.
okay.
I wrote about that too. But so that was all of my relationship stuff. But I will say that it did get to a point in my journey of like seeing myself for who I was, messed up, toxic, all of that. And I always share this part of my book. I always say I got tired of being that girl. Like, I needed to do something differently with myself.
That's a fact.
And I'm not going to say when I decided to do something differently that I just all of a sudden snapped my fingers and changed, or I all of a sudden found God, or all of a sudden did this or whatever. But I will say that when I started to really do the work, the inner work within myself, sit with myself, really self-evaluate, take self-assessments, do all the stuff that I had to do to fix myself. I will say that the toxic relationships was less. Like, basically I could meet somebody, and what would have taken me 2 years to kind of wrestle with, it'd be like, nah, this 6 months I'm out of here. Or
Right.
like 3 months I'm out of here. Now it'd be like 2 weeks. No, this ain't gonna work. Like, this this
Facts.
this ain't good. This ain't no good fit. I ain't messing with it. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't gonna go no further. Like, and that's that. So I think that, for me, my healing journey just kind of helped me carve out people and cut off people very early, where I'm like, nah, this is not a good fit for me. Whereas before, I'm entangled. I'm like fighting with it and trying to make it work. So yeah, now
That's a
I
fact.
can't tolerate that kind of stuff. So
That's a fact. You see that shit quick and early, and nah, I'm not. I'm good.
yep, exactly. Yep.
I try to tell people that I don't even really think that you're ready for therapy until you're ready for self therapy. So I feel like you should do your own
Hmm.
self therapy even before you do therapy.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well, I have never done therapy, but I definitely do self therapy. Like, I take
That's a fact.
myself through what I'm taking other people through, like when I'm mentoring them and actually coaching women, and men have actually been coached by me. But I literally will read my book over and over again, or I have this 21-day workbook guide. I literally take myself through 21 days. Like, I do the work. And I'm just somebody that love like personal development. So I read other people books, and I, what I mean, self-reflect and just see like, you know, where I can grow, where I still need healing. Even like my triggers, I know that they come up for my healing. I'm like, okay, what is it that like that I haven't overcome yet? Why is this still triggering me? It's something that's still there. So I mean, I definitely feel like you have to do your own self healing to see yourself before somebody else can tell you what's wrong with you. Because if you don't know by now
That's a
that you
fact.
got some, you know what I mean. If you don't know by now and you sit with a therapist and they got to reveal to you, you you ain't present. Like, you ain't here. You feel
That's
me?
a fact.
So I know myself. Like
That's
nobody
a
can
fact.
tell me about me like that.
All
So
right. So, through your coaching experiences, what is the main issue that you see pop up?
with my clients,
Right.
I would see toxic relationship cycles. Women being entangled in toxic relationships, whether it's physical abuse or emotional abuse, things that they feel like they can't get out of. Um, yeah, even some women have been, um, thinking about, I don't know, we should say the S was side.
Yeah, we can't
But
say that
anyway,
word, but
no,
I'll
we
put it.
can't, right? We can't say that, right? Yeah.
Right.
So that's what I thought. But anyway, they I've dealt with that too, helping my client. And that's hard because honestly, you just never know somebody's mind state. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You never know what can be something that would just like take somebody over the edge. And I definitely been there with those types of thoughts when I was in a physically abusive relationship with someone who's not my children's fathers, by the way. And that had me in a low dark place. So I feel like the women that I've been coaching over the years, they're me. Like
Right.
they've been through what I've been through and what I've overcome, and I'm able to easily relate to them and easily reach them because of my transparency and what I've been through. And not just like I could sit and talk to them, because you can talk to people on your couch and relate, you know what I mean? But for me, I'm showing you the steps. I'm walking you through. I'm giving you the tools. I'm giving you, the blueprint on this is how you do this. You know what I'm saying? This is what helped anyway. Like if you,
Right.
take this suggestion, if you tweak this, if you, incorporate this in your life, you'll start to see these shifts and you'll start to see these breakthroughs. So I mean, I think that I've been showing people even through my stuff, I've been showing them how I've been able to navigate and get better than the last time. You know what I mean? So
So,
that's really my client base.
what's your worst experience in a physical situation?
Oh my God. Yeah. Um, it was a relationship that I had when it was after I had my first son. And my first son was still young. He was like I want to say he was like one and a half or something like that. Me and his dad didn't work out and stuff like that. And this guy, so crazy though, and I would just say this real quick and then I'll tell the story. Sometimes you got to be careful, like what prayers you release in the atmosphere, or what you want so desperately, because desperation will breed something else. And at the time, because I'm a relationship girl, and I think because I had a lot of brokenness in my childhood, I was the girl that, oh, I always want to be married, I always want to be this, I always want to be that. I was that then, I ain't that now. But and I think my desperation really brought somebody in my life that um fed off of that. And he ended up being like a psycho. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like literally, where he was doing a lot of stuff to me, and his own mother was like, get away from him. Like something's not right with him. But this is a guy that literally tried to take my life. And I'm gonna share this story because I think this gonna bless somebody. And I know we're gonna wrap up soon. And I'm gonna make it quick.
Okay.
I basically lived a lifetime story, like literally. You see the lifetime stories where people break in somebody's house and choke them out and do all the stuff that literally happened to me. So it was a lot of physical abuse where this dude was like locking me in rooms. Every time I used the bathroom, you unlocking the bathroom to invade my privacy. Times where, it was one time where I was in the hospital for like my kidneys or something. This dude was like wiping out my whole house, taking my things, stole my cell phone in the hospital so I couldn't reach nobody, and then blamed it on housekeeping. Then Christmas Eve is the thing. Um Gave me a blood clot in my eye, and I had to literally, like, this is when I knew I was a victim. I was lying to my family like, oh, we was play fighting, blah blah blah. I was like, wow, I'm like victimized. So decided to end the relationship after he hit me, even though he was at my family's house gathering for Christmas. By then, I had lost the house that we had together because of some toxic stuff. So I went to stay with my middle sister. Well, I was literally on her couch one night and he was banging on her door. And this time I was like, I'm never getting back with him again. I promise I ain't gonna get back with him. Long story short, I literally fell into like a deep sleep after hours of banging and banging. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I literally woke, something told me to open your eyes. Open your eyes. I woke up to him standing over me and he put his hands around me and tried to choke me to death.
Hmm.
Like literally lived that. And I didn't hear him break in. He
Right.
literally, you know how the houses in Southwest or the houses in Darby, like you got out, my house don't got a window at the
Right.
bottom, but my dad's house did, like going to the basement. He literally opened up that window or got through that window, slid through the window, went through the basement and came up and tried to get me, bit me and everything. It I literally saw a demon at night.
Hmm.
Like literally. And that I don't know. That did something to me for a long time. Like for a long time. Yeah.
I'm glad you used that word, desperation, though, because a lot of
Mhm.
people, whether it be men or women, they fall into that, to where as though, they'll take anybody just to have somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got to be careful,
We
um,
do.
moving around out here. You don't want to just accept anybody just to have somebody, because that
Mm-hmm.
anybody doesn't do you no justice, and they may, like in your situation, mean you harm. So
Yeah.
that's definitely something to be aware of.
Absolutely.
My last couple questions I'll ask
Mhm.
you. What's your definition of love?
Ooh, my definition of love. Well, we know love is an action word, so I
That's a
don't really
fact.
go by like, I mean, you can feel when a person love you, but you can see when a person love you by, you know, the way that they love themselves, the way they operate within themselves, and then the way that they look after you and love you. I feel like sometimes people throw that word around a lot, like, "Oh, I love you because we get along," but to me, it's like love is like you're making a healthy sacrifice. You know what I mean? To me, and I say healthy sacrifice because you could sacrifice so much for somebody and it be survival versus a love thing. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute, what we doing here? But to me, I feel like when somebody really show you or say that they love you, they're going to show you by the way that they respect you, the way that they treat you, the way that they consider you, the way that they care for you, and nurture you. You know what I mean? To
Right.
me, that's pouring into somebody and that's loving somebody. So I don't really look at the word per se. And I'm not someone that's big on um somebody telling having to tell me they love me every 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
I am a very affectionate person, but I don't really need that to validate anything. What will validate it for me is the way that you show up for me, like the way that I show up for you. That to me is love.
Do
So
you think you've ever been properly loved?
um no.
I hear
And
no a
I
lot.
and that's crazy. But
Mm.
you know, aside from I want to say the beginning of my dating relationship, even though we were young, I feel like
Right.
we tried to do our best in that circumstance. But I think because I feel like he wasn't the toxic boyfriends that
Right.
I had. But after that, I think that I love the idea of love, and I know
Right.
I loved a few people and thought that they loved me, but it was always predicated on something else, and I feel like it wasn't really genuine. So i'm still I'm still trusting God on that one.
Okay. What are your deal breakers?
um wow, a deal breaker, um somebody that just constantly lie. Like, to me, I feel like you should be able to communicate. We grown, you ain't in trouble. Let's sit down and talk about it. Let's decide if we can work through this. But the moment you start lying and misleading and gaslighting, to me, I cannot deal with that because I can't trust you. And I feel like I'm not safe with you. So that to me will be the biggest deal breaker of them all. Like, be honest.
So speaking of that, do you trust men?
I do. Even
Okay.
though I've had a lot of hardships with men, I know there's good men out there. I just feel like I believe in times and seasons, and I believe that, I'm just in this space where either I'm being protected or this space where maybe I haven't been exposed to the right type of situations. Maybe
Right.
I'm limiting myself because a girl been sitting in the house lately. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I definitely I definitely do trust men. I don't have any hard feelings toward men at all. Like, no.
All right. My final question, and then I want you to ask me a question. But my final question would be, so where we are today, and I kind of spoke about this a little bit yesterday. Um,
Okay.
do you think that we are headed more into separating as men and women separating from each other, or what can we do to, eliminate the gender wars? What would
Man,
be
I
your
was gonna
advice?
ask you a question like that. That's crazy. Literally was like, I'm about to hit him with that one. Oh man, okay. Honestly, I really wish that we get to a place where we can come together and trust each other. I think that um some men don't trust women and some women just don't trust men. And I think that, it can work. It can be that we both feel the same way about each other. I know a lot of times you see on these platforms that women are like, oh, men doing this, men doing that, but some men got the same fears that women have actually. And I just wish that we can just let our guard down and be more humble and really be more vulnerable, to express our needs and wants, and really look at the big picture, like look at the brokenness within our families, within our bloodlines, within our people. And we got to do better because I feel like I'm not going to say we're unsuccessful because there are a lot of successful black couples and mixed couples or whatever, but I just feel like we have to do more in within our family dynamic. And it's unfortunate that it seems like we be struggling a whole lot to try to make that work and
That's a
be
fact.
successful. So
I'll answer that part of it for you though. I'll say
okay.
that I'll say that like you spoke a lot about knowing yourself, and I think that that's where it begins. I think that
Mhm.
that's the main problem is that most people don't know themselves. So you're operating
Mhm.
in a space of like ignorance because you don't even know yourself. So
Right.
you're portraying something to somebody, or you're trying to fill a role, and everybody's doing X, Y, and Z, but you yourself is not secure in your foundation. So I think
Right.
until you know yourself,
Mhm.
I don't think you can give yourself to somebody.
That's right. Yeah, you answered that perfectly. I feel like you can't build on a faulty foundation.
That's a
And
fact.
sometimes the faulty foundation is you
That's a fact.
until you build yourself up to where you need to be solid before you can offer yourself to anybody else. So,
That's a
yeah.
fact. That's a
Yeah.
fact. All right. Do you have another question for me though, or was that just it?
Well, you know what? That definitely was the main question because I'm like, okay, so what is up with like how men and women just can't seem to build together? So like what would you say would be the number one thing that would be a foundation to build on in a relationship? Like what makes a relationship successful to you?
I think the love part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that everybody's so focused on what they're supposed to have or who they're supposed to be instead of us. I like you. Remember back in the day was I like you
Yeah.
and you like me. So
Yes.
that should be the foundation. The foundation should be I like you, you like me. We have some common things and that's another portion of it, because people don't understand that when you have common things, that's what you
Mhm.
go back to in troubled times. So if you don't
Right.
have these common things to go back to in troubled times, you're always going to have friction because you don't have nothing common. You don't have nothing in common.
Exactly. Yep.
So we're bypassing the love part of it, and everybody's like has the idea of what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like. And
Mhm.
I want this house and that car and X, Y, and
Right.
Z. And these are just things.
Right. Yep.
So that's where I would say that it all needs to start.
Dang. We're gonna have to do a part two because I got a whole lot in the meeting. You have to do a part two because I got a lot of relationship questions.
we could do a part two, but
Yeah,
I
we
want you
definitely do.
to let the people know your socials and where they can get your books and the titles, all that. Give them all your stuff.
All right, that's what's up. So you can find my book. It's here. All right, that's on Amazon. Beauty versus the Beast in Me, Mastering My Own Demons on Amazon. 5-star book. Definitely got some great reviews. My workbook guide, you can DM me for a copy because it's ebook format. You can visit me on theworthyinheritance.com. That's my site. Check it out. Some good stuff there. And I'm doing my vlogs on YouTube. All of the things with Cherie Dominique, and you can find me on TikTok and either IG with the same name, The Worthy Inheritance on TikTok and IG.
Okay, I want to say thank you for joining us on Intimate Conversations.
Thank you so
Make sure
much.
y'all like and share the video. Make sure y'all follow her. Yeah, thank you again. We'll
Thank
do a part.
you.
We'll
A
do a
long
part
time
two.
overdue. Yes.
Right, right. We
That's
were
what's
supposed to
up.
bid get this done. We were supposed to
Yep.
bid get this done, but
Yes. But thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
no doubt, no doubt. And well, I guess we'll see y'all next time, people. Everybody have a good one.
All right.
Deuces, man.
So.
Thank you.
Oh, come and talk to me. I really want to meet you, girl. I really want to know your name. Can we talk for a minute? Can we just